To kick off our media day today, we've got the Asbury Rams and second-year coach Chris Williams. Coach, would you introduce the young men you brought with you today, and then give us some comments on the 2020 Asbury Rams?
Well, we appreciate you guys, Jeff, for having us here. This is pretty exciting. When I took this job, I was really excited about promoting the kids because obviously that's what we're in this for, is the kids. And the two that I brought with me this morning is our quarterback, Austin Bloodworth. He will be a senior this year. And then the anchor man of our O-line, McKinley Orr, number 55 over here, he'll also be a senior. These two have bought in since I've been there, and they set a pretty good example of the kids. They got a lot of talent, and I think it's very important as far as a quarterback is concerned and an offensive line that you have leaders on the team. And obviously for offense, the quarterback is very important, but having somebody that can anchor that O-line is hugely important. And this gentleman to my left over here, McKinley Orr, has done a great job with that. As far as the 2020 season is going, obviously, in the world that we're living in at the present day time, we've got a lot of restrictions, we've got a lot of guidelines that we have to follow, protocol, but the number one thing is these kids, their health, their well-being, their safety, but more importantly, one of the things about their health and well-being is that mental health that I think a lot of people forget during our troubling times that we're in. Football is a great medicine for these kids. To be able to get with one another on the practice field, be able to socialize with one another and escape the reality of the tragedy that we're going through in today's society with this pandemic. And I'm just hoping and praying that we get to start in 3 weeks like we're supposed to, but more importantly, not only do we get to start, but we get to finish. We've had some pretty good numbers out. They're not where we want to be, but during this pandemic time, obviously, I think a lot of programs have lost kids, and I have a lot of respect for some kids that's come to me or text me or called me and said, "Coach, I'm not going to play this year. My parents are concerned for my health." And, as a coach, that's frustrating, but as a father of 3 children of my own and having a wife at home, I think that it's very important that we respect that because we don't know the situation of the health and well-being of their family members and things to that nature. But I will say, as far as this season goes, we've been having 18 to 20 kids out at practice for preseason right now, and we're going to have about 25 on the roster 3 weeks from tomorrow night when we open at Gaston. And these 18, and they'll be able to vouch for this, the 16 to 20 kids that we've been having out there have had a positive attitude, got a lot of love towards one another, got a lot of excitement, and they're being very coachable. And as a coach, for those of you that might be in this room that's been around it, that's all you can ask for. And so we're really looking forward to it. We have our first game of the season the 21st at Gaston, and then our home opener is the 28th versus Whitesburg Christian Academy out of Huntsville. So that's where we stand. Obviously, we're in a tough region. We're moving up to 3A, and we get the privilege of having Fife and Collins will follow us as we go up. So, and then the rest of the region, it's as brutal as the 2A region we were in. But right now with our program where we're at, what we're trying to do is focus on winning the day and getting better, making ourselves better going into year 5 of the varsity football program.
All right, questions, guys?
Yeah, Coach, just talk a little bit about Austin coming back again this year and how the offense runs through him and what you expect from him this year.
Being year 2, I was able to come in last year in mid-April, so I was able to go through a spring. We had last summer to go through 7-on-7s and then the season. And having a quarterback that was underclassman last year was huge because of the learning curve, learning to try to run the spread, learning to read things, to take advantage of his skill set and things to that nature. Having him back this year was very beneficial. The thing that's terrible, which is not anything that everybody else didn't have to go through, is missing spring and missing our 7-on-7 opportunities. Just having him out there and maturing as a quarterback and learning. And I guess the thing that I will say in front of everyone that's watching this is a very talented young man. And when he, as I told the coach at Gaston when we were just talking last week, when he realizes his ability and the confidence that he has as a quarterback to run the system we've got, he's going to be a really special player. He is a special player already, but it's even going to be better for him when that actually clicks in a game situation. I think that he's done a great job in the last month that we've been out, and I think he's got a big season. Looking forward to him. Good Lord willing, we get to go through the whole year.
McKinley, you're a senior too.
Yes, sir.
How long have you played football?
Since second grade.
Okay. Describe to us how different it is this year, so far this year, than it has been in years past, and what you project for the fall practice and games.
I mean, we didn't get to have a spring or summer, really, so the kids that come out there, they're not being forced. And it's just, they're going out there because they actually want to play. You can see the dedication instead of just wanting to wear a uniform. So.
Is the restrictions and everything, is that frustrating for somebody that's been around a while? I mean,
Yeah, because you can't just go out there and get close to people like you usually would, or like him or anything. So you got to social distance. But it's
as much as possible. Thank you.
Coach, I think last year, if I remember, only about 2 seniors on the football team. You had a bigger junior class, a little more experience coming up this year.
Yes, sir. That's probably the thing that bothers me the most about the potential of not getting to even have a season because, go back to the SEC basketball tournament, they're warming up and they pull them off the floor and shut everything down. So that's still a possibility. I'm afraid that we could get to, and I was talking to Eric just a minute ago, that, we may find out at 2 o'clock on opening day, hey, look, they're shutting us down. The downfall to that is I have roughly 25 guys this year, and I believe I have 9 seniors. Last year I only had 3. That was another great advantage, speaking of Austin a minute ago, is having these guys that were juniors, as you asked. I think the thing that's the most alarming is the fact that out of these 9 seniors, 6 of them only played football. And my heart goes out to those kids because you start your senior year and you're not going to be able to play a sport that you played your whole life. Now I'm not taking away from the student athletes that were seniors this past spring, but they went through their whole senior year with the opportunity to play fall, with the opportunity to play winter, and they were playing and had started their season in the spring. These guys, and Eric and I was talking about this just a minute ago, we've spent the last month trying to prep in overdrive, trying to get in shape, learn the system, doing everything, and then the possibility of us getting shut down. But then if we get shut down, these 6 guys that I got that are seniors that's played football their whole life and they're looking for an opportunity to be one of the winningest teams in our early history of a football program, it's heartbreaking to me to know that might happen to them, because I think it's 1% of student athletes in high school that actually get to go on to go to the next level. And you look at our guys here, and I really hope we get to have it, but I understand the safety of everything. The health and well-being of individuals is more important than football, but for these high school kids, that's hard for them to understand, and that's the big thing about these seniors that I really want them to be.
So you have 9 seniors this year and 6 play only football.
I think that's correct. It might be 5, but it's no more than that.
So if this season's gone, that's it.
Yes, sir.
Question for both Austin and McKinley this morning. Coach just talked about it. Going in, we don't know. We hope in 2 weeks you're going to play. Let's look at last week when the state said we're going to go forward with the season. How did that make you guys feel?
It made me feel great. We'll have a chance to win.
Ken?
As long as we get to play, I'll be happy.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Coach, it's a different aspect of these kids now. I made this point a couple of days ago that, used to these kids, it was girls, football, and school. Well, it's changed.
Right.
Now they have so many other things running at them, and, it can be yanked out from under them at any time. How do you keep them motivated?
It 22 years of coaching high school, obviously the times have changed every year, every season is different. I would say when we got dismissed from school and told that we weren't going back in March, so I knew immediately we didn't have a spring, and I was afraid we weren't going to have a summer, and we didn't even know if they were going to give us the opportunity to try to have this season. I was worried about those issues because, you know, the kids aren't around anybody, so they're sitting at home on social media, playing Xbox, doing nothing. Are they motivated to go out and exercise on their own, work out at their house on their own, things of that nature? And I think the biggest thing that, growing up as a preacher's son, I think the big thing is you know that there's a lot of times in life that life's going to throw you a curve and things aren't going to go your way. But my dad always taught me to try to find the positive in everything. And the motivating factor, I think, this last 3 weeks or so that we've been going at it, is the fact that these kids want something. They want to feel a part of something because they've been so isolated that it's not been hard to motivate them the last 3 weeks because they're so excited to be a part of something. Now, if this was a normal year, I might have a different answer for that because you are right. There's so many more distractions for these kids. But I think this pandemic has actually made our team closer, and actually they're more motivated to be a part of this.
Coach, looking at your first 2 games, you got Gaston to open the season. You touched on that. And Whitesburg Christian, it's their first year with varsity high school football program. It's similar to you guys back in 2016. 2 very winnable games off the bat. If you guys can start 2-0 in this season, how big of a confidence booster would that be for these kids going forward?
Well, you say that, and you're talking going 2-0 to a coach and 2 seniors that's sitting over here and it's only won 2 football games in the history of our short program. That's off the charts monumental. The thing is where I'm trying to get our student athletes at Asbury to understand is the fact that, you know, you got to be a winner in preparation before you can be a winner on the field. And these guys are starting to buy into that. And, you know, I've told them, I said, guys, we do, as you said, have an opportunity to start 2-0. But we also understand that it's very easy. We could start 0-2, and we could split. I think the big key is you got the opportunity to prepare. You got the opportunity in front of us for the next 3 weeks with the 2 that are sitting here and the 16 to 20 other kids that'll be there tonight for practice to decide, hey, look, just like in life, we're not guaranteed that when we walk out of this door that we're not going to be in an automobile accident and our life be taken from us. So we got to enjoy what we've got in front of us. And to do that, you're going to take and you're going to motivate yourself internally. And in retrospect to that, I think that gives us the opportunity to, as you say, start off on a positive note. I'll leave it at that instead of starting off 2-0. But if we were to start off 2-0, I think that could set the tone. And I'll say this because I think most everybody that knows of sports and knows that we're in a beginning of a program. For a program that's only won 2 varsity football games, obviously starting off 2-0, that's as many as we've won in the 4 years prior to. But there are 4 or 5 games that are they're very realistic for us to be competitive in going into the fourth quarter, to where if we play well, we're healthy, and things go our way and the ball's bouncing that way, that we could be in the game and have a chance to win. Those games are going to become even more encouraging. Those other 2 or 3, 4 games in the season are going to become even more encouraging if we were to start out 1-1, or if we had the privilege of starting out 2-0.
And then for the players, with this being Coach's second season, he takes over in year 1, just a year ago. Just how have you guys bought in? How have you seen your teammates buy into his style of coaching and just everything he's doing, trying to change the culture over there?
Well, a lot of us had a loser mentality where we just went out there and wanted to just wear the uniform. And Coach stepped in and he said, he's flipped it around and showed us it don't matter the score on the scoreboard. It's, did you play to the best of your ability? Did you play to the standards of your teammates?
He's had a great attitude towards us ever since he came here. He knows the right things to say to us, and I think we should listen to him more about all the stuff he says to us, because to me, he boosts my confidence. Because the things he says to me, I know that he means those things, and if I work hard enough and believe that, then I can do a real good job. And I feel like my teammates should think the same thing or feel the same way about everything.
Anybody with a final question? Coach, I've got one for you. It kind of goes back to what Rocco asked a few minutes ago. What have been the challenges of starting a football program from scratch? And then you're competing against teams that have played 80, 90, 100 years and established a football tradition. Can you tell us how challenging that's been? Because it has to be.
I'm gonna put it to you this way, as a side note, joke, so to speak, but this is a reality too. You know, you and I, at the age we're at, we went through life. We've been through flu, we've gone through strep, we've gone through H1N1, we've gone through SARS, and we had to be precautious. We had to, take care of ourselves. But now we're in a pandemic, and we've never had to take and put on a mask and social distance, but we're having to, because that's what the government and the health department tells us that's best for our program. And that's really hard for some of us that's in our 40s and older, because we're set in our ways. Well, McKinley said earlier, a lot of these kids had a loser mentality because a lot of these kids didn't play youth league football. They just started out. A lot of these kids that are just starting out, and a lot of them that played, if you've been told something that and I love the fact that he said that I try to build these kids up. If you tell a kid that they're ugly long enough, they're going to believe they're ugly. These kids ain't been in the program long enough to understand that hard work will pay off. McKinley did reference something that I teach them all the time from the standpoint of, it's not about the wins and losses this early in the program. It's about building a winning mentality to where you go and you win that day at practice. No matter how hard it is, no matter how bad you feel, you make yourself better. Because at the end of practice, if you've not made yourself better, we're not getting better. And so building it from scratch, from what Coach Powell had started prior to me arriving there, is the fact of us having to adapt to the precedented times that we're in, on the fact of we have to make adjustments and we don't like it. They're having to make adjustments that they don't like, of the requirements that I'm getting them to mentally believe in themselves and to mentally trust their teammate that's beside them. That's a hard thing in today's society, is to trust anyone. But for these young kids to trust their teammate beside them, that they're going to do their job, I do my job, and the more of us that do our job, the better we're going to get. Because right now, we're not on a level playing field. And we have the opportunity, as you guys said, to start out with a couple of wins if things go our way, if we do our job. And that's where I want to get us, because see, here we're realistically, I told them, I said, guys, I want to win every game. I've had a great opportunity in the 20 years of being able to be successful at my prior places. Well, here, we want to win every time we step out, but we also got to be realistic. I mean, for us to say that we won 2 football games in the 4 years of a high school program, to come out and say, hey, we're going to go 10-0 this year, that could happen. But realistically, let's talk realistic goals, because if you set unrealistic expectations to kids that's not ever been able to meet a lot of goals, then they're still going to have that mentality, and that's what we're trying to avoid.